Colorado against Kansas State this week has the opportunity to officially shut up all of the haters, because it's one thing to beat UCF and Baylor, which it turns out neither one of those two schools are good, but to beat Kansas State, a team that most people picked as the favorite to win this conference, other than Utah coming into this year, will be a statement win for Coach Prime and the Bucs, because it would show that this Colorado team is for real. With the win, they will be 5-1, which means that they improved the win total from last year, going 4-8. 5-1 gets you one step closer to bowl eligibility. And I love Colorado's chances to pull off this upset because, for one, you're going up against a Kansas State defense that doesn't have the same talent on the defensive line that Nebraska has. Anytime people talk about Colorado and their upcoming games, they always talk about how bad they looked against Nebraska. But what made Colorado look that bad is how it just was a complete mismatch on the line of scrimmage. Nebraska, that number 0 dude they have on their defensive line is probably going to be a first-round pick next year. And they also have one of the best pass rushes in all of college football. They're like 5th in sacks per game. They're averaging like 5 sacks per matchup. Kansas State, their defensive line doesn't possess the kind of talent that Nebraska has. That doesn't mean that Kansas State has a bad defensive line, but this is a defensive line that isn't going to be consistent enough to slow down Shedeur Sanders and his Colorado passing attack. And if you want to beat Colorado, you have to completely be able to obliterate them on the line of scrimmage. You have to abuse their offensive line, because Shedeur Sanders has showed us more than enough time that when you give him time to throw in the football, when you give him time to throw the football from within the pocket, he's going to destroy your secondary. Kansas State is 115th in passing yards per game allowed, giving up 280 yards through the air this season. They also are 85th in FBS and yards per pass at 7.9. Colorado has 4 wide receivers on this team that are going to be playing in the NFL next year. We know about Travis Hunter. He is in contention to win the Heisman. There's not another player better than him outside of Ashton Gentry, the running back at Boise State. You got Will Shepard, Jimmy Horn Jr., LaJounte Western. All of those guys are going to be NFL wide receivers next year. You're going to be hard-pressed to find too many teams in the Big 12, not just in the Big 12, but in college football in general, that have the secondary to match up with what Colorado has in the passing game. If you can't completely impose your will up front and take advantage of that Colorado offensive line, you're going to be in a dogfight with this team. They also have a defense that's 8th in college football in forcing takeaways. They have a pretty good secondary that plays pretty good coverage at times. I believe that this defense has continued to get better every single game after their new defensive coordinator hire. Last year, their DC wasn't really that good. This year, the dude they have is really good, especially when it comes to making adjustments. Kansas State, they're a team that loves to run the football. They got one of the best rushing attacks in all of America. But the thing about Colorado is that they've shown that if you are a run-heavy team, like what UCF was, they can slow down your run game, which they were able to do. And for Kansas State, you're going to have to rely on Avery Johnson to make some big throws in this game to win it. And he's more than capable of being able to do that. But however, he is a young player and he has been prone to making mistakes. I don't expect Avery Johnson, as good as what he is, to play a mistake-free football game. And when he does have those turnovers, expect Colorado to be able to take advantage of them. And another thing is that Colorado now, the run game is at their disposal. The run game has been non-existent until their past couple of games. Against Baylor, they had a good amount of success running the football. Against UCF, they were able to run the football. Now, it's not like they're running for 150, 200 rushing yards per game, but they've shown the ability to at least be able to run the football when they need to, and that's all that matters, because this is a pass-heavy team. And Kansas State and nobody else in the Big 12 really has the kind of muscle to slow this offense down. And when Colorado gets rolling offensively, they're a really tough team to stop. You got two of the best players in college football on one team. That's such a big difference maker when it comes to games like this, because Kansas State doesn't have any player on that team that's as good as what Shedeur or Travis Hunter is. These two players are tremendous movers when it comes to Colorado being able to hang around in games that most people expect them to lose. A lot of people thought UCF was going to blow them out. They were a 2-touchdown underdog going into that game, and it was a complete opposite of what people expected. It was a complete murder that we saw down there in Central Florida. I'm not expecting this game to be a blowout, but I am expecting Colorado to cover that +4, which will be a major surprise to a lot of people, because people still do not believe that this Colorado team is for real. And when they win this game at home against Kansas State, it's going to erase all doubt about how good Colorado is. After Colorado wins this game, we're going to have to start having a different conversation about the Buffs. It no longer is going to be, can they make it to a bowl game? Can they be a competitive team this year? The new question that we're all going to be asking after this win is going to be, just how good is Colorado? Can they actually win the Big 12? Can they actually make it into the 12-team college football playoffs? Can they win a playoff game? These are the conversations that we are going to have once Colorado beats Kansas State. I love the mismatch of Colorado's offense against Kansas State's pass defense. Kansas State hasn't been that good against the pass, and I love Shedeur Sanders a lot. He should be the first player taken off the board in the 2025 NFL draft. Travis Hunter could be the second to go along with them. When you got those two players and everybody else around them who's pretty good as well, you have to give them a little bit more credit against teams like Kansas State that don't have that same amount of talent. Kansas State is a well-coached team, but Colorado has looked pretty well coached these last couple of games. Ever since that Nebraska game, Coach Prime has made the necessary changes, and they paid dividends because they're currently riding on a 3-game win streak. And I expect that to increase to 4 after they take down Kansas State. Hey, man, have you hit that like button yet? Have you subscribed to the channel? Because if not, what are you doing? It only takes less than a second to do so, man. I love football. You love football. This is the best place to be if you are a diehard fan of football, man. We're talking NFL, college football, 24/7, 365 days a year. If you are a diehard football fan, this is the right place for you. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon so you don't miss when we drop new content, and go live.